This is my Creme de Cassis Hollyhock. It's named after a French liqueur, black currant liqueur. And if you look into its throat, it almost looks like a dollop of grape jelly in there. It's not exactly a single hollyhock flower. It's a semi-double. If you look closely, you can see that it has 2 rows of petals and then a little floret hanging down from the throat of it. So it's not a complete single. The hollyhocks grow tall, and because of that, they were grown in I guess everybody's cottage garden. My grandmother had a huge stand of hollyhocks, and she was a massive cottage gardener. The cottage gardeners traditionally were not wealthy people. They were not the people buying the glossy magazines. They were just simple country people who, it started actually back, I think, hundreds of years ago. But anyway, they were simple people, and they had small plots of land. And because of that, they grew everything vertically. Hollyhocks grow tall. They start blooming at the bottom, and they go up the stalk, and they're just delightful. When I was a child, I lived in the house directly behind my grandparents' house. It was across a little gravel road, and then I would cross the gravel road and go through the yards. And at the back of my grandmother's property, there was a massive stand of hollyhocks. When I got there, I felt safe. And I would crawl into the little thicket of the hollyhocks and play like that was my hollyhock house. So that I have an affinity for hollyhocks, especially the flat-faced, single-faced. I bought this one because it looks like a single, but it's actually a semi-double. I'm also going to show you my fairy roses. The things that remind me, I guess, of my childhood, especially this time of year, are fragrant roses and hollyhocks, or just anything flowering reminds me of my childhood. But these fairy roses grow in little clusters. They have a delicate fragrance. Again, about my childhood, when I was a young child, I would walk to Vacation Bible School, and I would pass my neighbors' yards and smell all kinds of old garden roses growing on fences. And since that time, I have had just this love of the fragrance of old garden roses, and I try to maintain or preserve that smell in any way I can. I'll come out here in just a second and cut this fairy rose, this cluster, and I'll dry it. I make potpourri and sachets. I dry flowers for bouquets. And then what's left over, I turn into potpourri and sachets. When I cut this cluster, I'll try to cut at a joint, at a joining place, a place where the branches join each other. Joints are like, rose joints are joining places, are like knuckles and fingers. They're bigger and stronger than the rest of the area, and I feel like because of that, that joining area has a little bit more stamina, a little bit more strength, and is able to withstand the butchery. The traditional rose gardeners say to cut at a joint with 5 or more petals. I'm not sure that's so important with a fairy rose, which grows almost like a garden, like a regular flower, but I still try to to cut at a joint, a strong joining area. A fairy rose has a delicate fragrance. It's not the most fragrant, but as I stand here, I'm flooded with the smell of old garden roses. I mainly grow it because it's just a delicate little beauty. And there's a little bee right there. It's also a good pollinator. Any flower, I don't know, I guess not every flower, but most flowers are good pollinators.